It is the 100-year anniversary of what is arguably the greatest of the classic salads. I'm talking about the Caesar salad, which is very often traditionally made tableside by like the waiter or the maitre d', hence the penguin suit here. And sorry, I couldn't find the pants, but you know, cooking shows are generally from the waist up, so hey, a little bit tight, but I haven't worn it since music school, and that was 20 years ago, so I think I'm doing fine. Anyway, I've made Caesar salad on the channel before, but never the traditional one that is based upon raw egg yolks. If you can't handle raw eggs, then it's time to stop watching. Actually, I wouldn't really call them raw. We're going to chemically cook them, but I would still consider this something that you shouldn't eat if you have a compromised immune system or need to be particularly careful about food safety. But wow, have the times changed that, 100 years ago they would make something with raw eggs, not just secretly back in the kitchen like mayonnaise or something, but they would do it right at tableside, right in front of you. Wow, people's attitudes must have changed. Got to chop up some raw garlic. So because it's a modern invention, we know pretty clearly, it's pretty undisputed where Caesar salad comes from. It comes from a restaurant called Caesar's, which was in Tijuana, Mexico. It was a Prohibition era thing run by an Italian-American guy named Caesar Cardini, and it was a place where people could come over the border from San Diego, California, and drink alcohol in Tijuana, Mexico for that brief period when the United States went insane and banned alcohol. I think I'll probably do 2 cloves for the dressing, and then 3 cloves for the dressing, and then I'll have another one which is going to be for my croutons. Yeah, the one for the croutons I'm not going to peel because that helps keep it from burning while it's flavoring the oil or the butter. I think I might use butter. Anyway, I got to chop this up real fine because it's going to be totally raw, and you don't have to use this much garlic. I mean, it's going to be flavoring a whole lot of salad, but you got to use some garlic because otherwise it just really is not a Caesar salad. What is a Caesar salad? If it doesn't have raw eggs, what is it? Well, I would argue that nowadays Caesar salad means a creamy dressing that is flavored with garlic and Parmesan and is generally used to dress a romaine type lettuce instead of an iceberg. Yeah, it's Italian or Italian-American flavors for sure, but a profound question would be, is this actually Mexican food? Alrighty, that's pretty fine, right? We'll go ahead and throw that in there. And then it's time for Italian MSG, preserved anchovy fillets. We use them for umami. There's gonna be hardly any fishy flavor at all, trust me. Probably just need like 2 or 3 of those, and then you can kind of smash it up, cut it up, just get it into teeny little bits so that nobody knows it's there. Kind of mash it into a paste with your knife if you want to be a real stickler about it. But this is totally traditional. Throw all that in, and then big dollop of mustard. Obviously, this order does not matter at all. I like the grainy mustard in salad dressings generally, but I think they use something smoother down at Caesar's, or they did. And as if we didn't already have enough umami, we're going to go with Lee & Perrins Worcestershire sauce, also flavored with anchovies, preserved anchovies. Again, totally traditional. And then the original was apparently just made with vinegar, but lemon juice has become a whole lot more popular. And what this is going to do is it's actually going to chemically cook the eggs. It will unfurl those egg proteins, let them tangle together, expose bonding sites, and that will sort of thicken the dressing. Will it actually render the dressing safer? Will it kill any pathogens? Probably not that many, especially if you're making it tableside and then eating it immediately after you've made it. But I don't know, if you made it in advance, maybe the acid would kill the buggies. Probably shouldn't promise that. I wouldn't assume it. Catch the seeds. Guarantee you they did this with their bare hands, even tableside, back in the day. Not saying that was a good thing, but that's how they did it. I'd figure like 3 tablespoons of juice for 2 egg yolks, and so for a big juicy lemon like that, this should just be 1 lemon. But if you need more juice, you could always pick up a lime. Remember, this is from Tijuana, Mexico originally, and apparently it is common to use limes down there today. Now we got to grate up some Parmesan cheese for our 3rd layer of umami, and I really like to do the powderized version. One big difference between a real Caesar like this and like what I would call a mall Caesar, which I kind of love a mall Caesar, so please don't take that derisively, but a big difference is going to be that this is made with real Parmesan, freshly grated, whereas that is going to be made with those long strips of Parmesan that are coated in anti-clumping agents. And I'm going to need a lot because I need both some for the dressing and also just some for some garnish later. That should do it. You can tell that this is Italian-American and not Italian because we are combining acid and cheese. All right, now we're just going to go ahead and give that a preliminary stir, and then we can start putting in the olive oil. You got to put it in from really up high as you do it, otherwise there's no show. I think it's important to remember that we're not making mayonnaise here. We don't want to put in so much oil that we start to get a proper emulsion and it gets really, really, really thick. We just want it to be a little bit thick. Let me give that a taste. That's really good. Just a little bit more oil. It's more about just, how acidic do you want it in terms of judging how much oil goes in there. All right, there's plenty of salt in there already from the anchovies and the cheese and everything. Just needs plenty of pepper. And then I think traditionally you do this first so that the dressing can be sort of sitting while you go and make the croutons tableside. As the dressing sits, the raw garlic will mellow a little bit as it blends and flavors all of that fat and everything that's in that dressing. And speaking of fat, hey, I can check and see if I'm burning fat right now with the help of Lumen, sponsor of this video. Good morning. It's time for me to monitor my metabolism with my Lumen. You gotta remember that your body's metabolism is basically a power plant where you burn stuff, and depending on what you're burning, you're gonna be breathing out different concentrations of carbon dioxide, and that's what Lumen allows you to measure. Check it out. Right now, first thing in the morning, I am burning mainly carbs. I had a whole lot of dessert last night. This was intentional because I knew that we'd be going to the gym this morning, and I try to carb up before the gym so that I've got power in the gym. See, Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. You tell it what your basic fitness goals are, and you use it every morning, use it before and after the gym, and it will give you a custom meal plan to follow, macros that you want to hit. Okay, workout is over. Let's do it again. Okay, I am burning mostly fat, 95% fat, because I've burned through like all of the sugars in my body in my workout. Good to know. This biofeedback is helping me learn more about how my own body works and take some of the guesswork out of my dietary choices. You want to learn more about your body? Check out my link in the description, lumen.me/Ragusia. You can save 15% off your Lumen. lumen.me/Ragusia. Thank you, Lumen. All right, time to make croutons. Again, fresh right at tableside, both because freshly made croutons taste really good and because it entertained the diners. Things that people did before there were phones. Oh, and I know what you're wondering, and the answer is yes, it is a clip-on. All right, and I would go for kind of smallish pieces because they tend to be kind of hard. Kind of something like that. Just let them fall apart. They don't need to be fancy. All right, now I think Caesar Cardini would have used olive oil for this, but I'm gonna go ahead and use butter just because croutons are way better when they're made with butter. Throw my leftover garlic clove in there to infuse the butter, and all of the bread can get started right away. By the way, the only real authorship dispute with Caesar salad is from Caesar's brother Alex Cardini, who claims that he invented it, and it was originally called aviator salad because a bunch of aviators from the military bases across the way in San Diego would come over to eat there, I'm sure with full permission from their superior officers. And if you were this many years old when you figured out that croutons are just fried bread, well, welcome. All right, we're waiting to see like little toasty edges on the bread, and remember that they're going to harden up a lot as they cool, so they should still be a little bit squishy at this stage. And so these are about done, I think. All right, so traditionally this would be done with romaine hearts, which is the sort of center portion of the romaine. They've taken off the darker and more fibrous outer leaves. And you could tear them into chunks and put them in, but I think the traditional thing is to just throw them in whole. And then you end up sort of eating it with a fork and knife. It's a fork and knife salad. All right, now just to be safe, I'm gonna toss this first head in the dressing. I think we have enough dressing for both heads, but yeah, we're gonna have enough for both. I mean, look at all of that at the bottom. I gotta say, having only ever worked in food service and never in any real restaurants, and certainly not in any nice restaurants, this is totally scratching an itch for me, fulfilling a major dream to pretend to be somebody in a penguin suit. You know what? It's just us here, and I'm gonna use my damn hands, okay? And there is some evidence that the original salad was actually eaten with the fingers, like a taco, which makes sense. It's Mexican food. Look how pretty and glossy that dressing is. Oh, that is gorgeous. All right, if I got enough space over my head, I can do my maitre d' pose for the thumbnail. Uh-oh. Hey, you know what was awesome is how like YouTube has recently rounded the corners of the thumbnails, and so I have like text that went from edge to edge that is now getting cut off at the top. That's great. Alrighty, Monsieur and Madame, here's your salad. You can top that with some more Parmesan and a few croutons. Look at that, and then it's gonna be a fork and knife salad, so you can cut through the lettuce leaves like this. Now, I love a good Malteser made with mayonnaise. Fine, whatever. What is mayonnaise? It's egg yolks and oil, right? It's very, very close to being the same thing, but the proportions here are significantly different, and wow, this is better. Look at that, just like glossy finish. I love that. And if you have some food safety concerns, then you could always use pasteurized eggs. I think it's possible to pasteurize eggs at home. We'll work on that. Happy 100th, little salad.